Before we get started, do we remember those 6 common elements? Do we remember them at all? Sticking is 1. Rolls. Grip. Posture. Forgot which hand I was counting on. Come on. Volume. Striking motion. Ha! Okay. So let's get started. Percussion in 10 minutes or less. In like 3 seconds, you all are going to hear this. So percussion is more, it is an instrument class. It is not one instrument. Does that make, everybody knows that, right? We were talking about misconceptions earlier. The misconception is that a percussionist is a drummer. Never say that to me. Who and why? This is a lecture that, well, not really a lecture, a conversation that I have with a lot of band directors. And a lot of them method books are structured around it. Their lessons are structured around it. They will open up to 6th grade students and start teaching them strictly snare drum, one instrument. Then that student will stay on the snare drum through 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. There's a reason that percussionists are the stick tappers, the obnoxious ones, and that's where the fires will start, literally, is in the back of the room with the percussionists. They will start your fires. Now, why do I talk about this? From my experience, if teachers would change this approach and apply Vygotsky to the way they teach things, those 6 common elements we talked about, teach them separately, away from an instrument. So they learn what grip is. They learn what posture means. They learn what the striking motion is. They learn how to manipulate volume. They understand how to do a roll, everything. They understand that away from any one instrument. And those 6 common elements are called that for a reason. Because when they walk up to a snare drum, they say, okay, what's the grip that I'm going to use? This is the posture that I need to have, etc. And then they can walk away from that one instrument, and they can walk over to a timpani, and say, okay, what is my grip? Marimba, what is my grip? Everything. They can apply that one basic thing, scaffolding, gotta love the word, to all instruments in the percussion family. How do we do it? Like I said, scaffolding, declarative knowledge, making sure that they understand what these things are, and then teach them procedural knowledge of how to facilitate these things. Does that make sense? Is everybody still following along? I already talked about this. If we use grip, we understand what grip is. I can tell you all day long. And then that knowledge is declarative. This is how that grip is going to work. If you know, match grip. Both hands, they match. Pretty simple. But you understand that. Then you have that foundation. You have your basic concept of what match grip is. Okay? And then you go to snare drum, and you apply it to, this is what we do here. This is the grip that we have here. Then you set the snare drum sticks down, and you walk to a keyboard. And this is what we have here. We're going to play match grip here too. Same thing, they all apply. Does that make sense? Then what that allows us to do is that initial lesson of away from an instrument, learning what the 6 common elements are, then every time they walk up to a new instrument, you have a 6th grader that says, I'm going to start a fire if I stay on the snare drum 1 more second. I'm going to take a drumstick and just put it through it. I'm that bored. If we take them away from that, and we give them an opportunity to learn something new, and we put them to a xylophone. Everybody knows what a xylophone is. the same principles apply. The only thing that changes is the surface that you're playing on. That is the only thing that changes. They have to manipulate themselves in different ways, but that's it. Those 6 common elements still apply. They have that scaffolding, and they can elaborate on it to apply it to this instrument. Does that make sense? So, conclusion. If we can take the principles that we learned in an ed class and apply them to the way we teach music, especially percussion, I'm sorry, I'm just that guy, we can create a better percussionist that won't start in 6th grade on snare drum and go all the way through 12th grade on the same instrument. By the way, show of hands, how many of you think that if you learned one thing and drilled that same one thing, you would still be interested in it 6 years later? Some of you? Some of you? Okay. You're rare. You're very rare. How many of you, would you inevitably start a fire one day just because you're that bored?
I learned trombone in 6th grade, and I stayed with it to 12th grade, and when I put it down, I still want to get up.
You learned what? I'm sorry?
Trombone.
Trombone? Yeah.
And as long as the music's interesting, I don't really want to with it. Especially if you have the slide, and you have obviously sort of just this. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to what I'm talking about here, snare drum, specifically, we're talking about I have one head. The only thing that I can change is my sticking and my volume. That's really it.
Yeah.
Percussive Art Society has a list of 40 rudiments, 40 sticking patterns. We think about that. Okay, there are 18 weeks in half a year, right? 18 weeks. If we say one rudiment per week, over the course of a year, you've learned 36 of them. Now you have a 6th grader that can outplay that 12th grader, and he's going to be bored for the next 5 years. It causes a problem in retention. It causes a problem in attention. It causes problems across the board. And it's just something that hasn't changed. And it's just because these principles haven't been applied to the basic foundations. I think that's about it. I have any questions? Comments?
Is this coming from personal experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was the drummer that never played the drum. In 6th grade band, I started on snare drum, but I was the one kid that also had a bell kick. And by 7th grade, I never played a snare drum again, all the way through 11th grade. I was a keyboard guy. Anything else?
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, guys.